Let me just follow up on that very quickly, if I may. Do you all, either one of you all, have any doubt whatsoever, from what your knowledge in talking to the intelligence communities, that the Russians were involved at a higher level than they've ever been involved before?
I have no doubt.
No, sir, no doubt.
Okay. As a result of Russia's meddling in 2016, I'd fought to ensure the bill passed out of the Senate Appropriations Committee included a directive for DHS to provide technical assistance to state and local law enforcement to secure networks against cyber attacks. And before our committee this past year, I was shocked to learn that multiple federal agencies, including DHS, could not confirm that they did not have Kaspersky software in their system after we recognized the threat it posed to our national security. So my question would be, if our own Federal Department of Homeland Security has trouble finding a reliable vendor and relates to a Russian vendor such as Kaspersky, wouldn't you think our cash-strapped states and local partners might have the same problems?
The short answer to that is yes. As you know, we issued a binding operational directive to remove all such products from federal systems. We do not have authority to mandate that states do that, but we have taken it.
Have you removed Kaspersky's from yours?
Yes, sir. And we have taken it off the GSA catalog, as you know, which would allow states to purchase it with federal funds.
I generally agree with what the Secretary said.
The other thing, Russia or any other country that has been found guilty of meddling in our elections, which I think that we have confirmed by all our intelligence communities, what punishment or what recommendations of punishment or sanctions would you all recommend that would be stringent enough to prohibit that from happening, or any other country going down this path that Russia is going down?
Sir, I can just tell you, I think it's a very important question because we have a multifaceted relationship with Russia. We still seek their cooperation when it comes to North Korea, Syria, Iran, for example. So the consequences and what we do in reaction to their meddling in the election needs to be proportionate, but also needs to be driven in a way that they understand the specific behavior that we are seeking to avoid. And as the Secretary said, you know, the hope in general is that the international community continues to recognize that affecting and attacking critical infrastructure of another nation is a red line. As an international community, we all need to hold each other to that and recognize that that is a red line. So from a U.S. government perspective, we've looked at everything from sanctions backed from the Obama administration to sanctions now to the PNGing of diplomats to indictments. We need to do more. We need to continue to make the point.
Let me expand on that. Should we treat a cyber attack or intrusion on our government, on our country, if sponsored, directed by a foreign government, which we know was an act of war?
We need to look at that very carefully. As you know, we have not made that decision as a country, either as a policy perspective or a congressional perspective. But I hope that we can work together and with other parts of the administration and decide where is that red line.
Secretary Johnson, do you think that we have deterred Russia from continuing their operations as far as trying to infiltrate our election system for the 2018 election?
No, we have not. Based on the testimony in this room last month from our intelligence chiefs.
So we're facing the same, if not worse?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Secretary Nielsen?
Yes, they will. There's no reason to believe they will not attempt again.
Well, if that's the case, then we have a nuclear weapons retaliation policy. Shouldn't we have a cyber retaliation policy?
I think that's what some of the members have asked about. Yes, we have an executive order 13800. Mr. King was mentioning, and Mr. Heinrich, what we need to do in terms of being very specific with respect to our deterrence. You have an advocate here. I will go back to my colleagues and the President and make sure that we get that done very soon.
We're coming down to the wire on the election, as you all know.
Agree.
The primary, most of our states have primaries very shortly, and a November election coming up, and we're faced with the same. And our states don't have the wherewithals in order to deter this if they're hooked to the internet in any way, shape, or form.
I'm happy to take that message back. As you know, DHS does not do offensive cyber.
Do you believe the federal government should be involved in helping secure the election process state by state?
We are. Yes, sir. We are. At their request, we're working state by state, locality by locality.
How much money do you all have targeted for this?
We've asked for another $25 million specifically to help our own resources. But as I've mentioned earlier, we've prioritized these. So we've prioritized.
I'm saying do you all have a final recommendation on how you're advising the states to secure their system?
Oh, yes, we have many, depending on all of those different parts that I mentioned earlier.
Have they spoken back to you about the money? They don't have the money to either meet the requirements or suggestions you've made?
In some cases, yes, they have. Of course, they have resource constraints. Some of the machines themselves are old, as you know.
But it's a concern for the 2018 election.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senators.